Tales from the Darkside, Season 1, Episode 13, Anniversary Dinner. We get a location shot of a house that's right in the middle of the woods, and it cuts to the couple, Eleanor and Henry. They do some character development for the first couple minutes, so we kind of understand the dynamics of this couple. Eleanor has the kind of sweet old lady fake voice. What do I mean by that? Well, she says everything like this. Everything's so nice. Isn't everything so nice? Oh, look, we're having dinner.
You're not a bad cook.
Mother always used to say that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
She actually plays this role really perfectly because she comes off as fake nice, which is exactly what she is. And Henry is the opposite. He's not fake nice. He's just kind of grumpy the entire time, and it seems like he doesn't really like his wife Eleanor. However, we learn at the end of the episode there is one thing that keeps this couple together, and it seems like that's what they're saying. This couple really doesn't like each other, but they do have one passion that they all share. Henry complains that dinner isn't as good as it used to be, and even cuts his finger, and Eleanor sucks on his finger and seems to like the taste of his blood. Eleanor mentions that their 25th wedding anniversary is coming up. That's where the title comes from, Anniversary Dinner, and they want to do something really special for this anniversary. We actually get some shots of what could actually be an outdoor location. Is it possible that part of this was filmed on location? I've been watching the Ray Bradbury theater series, which I'll be reviewing after I finish Tales from the Darkside, and it really is amazing seeing all the outdoor locations they use in that series. It just has a slightly higher budget than something like Tales from the Darkside, which has a couple sets and usually 3 or 4 characters. But this one actually we get a little bit of the outdoors, and it really does help the episode, and you really get the idea that this is a house that is located right in the middle of the woods, kind of off the beaten path. After the introduction of the old couple, Eleanor and Henry, we get an introduction to the other 2 characters in this show, Mark and Sybil. Mark and Sybil are a couple who are going through a bit of a tumultuous time, and they're backpacking and looking for the Andersons' place. Apparently Mark's going to meet some of his friends over at the Andersons. We get a brief interaction between them and the old couple, including a pretty funny scene where Henry goes full get off my lawn with a shotgun. He doesn't shoot him, but he does threaten to do it. It's pretty clear. Mark's a bit of a dick. Sybil's kind of a normal chick. So they go off into the sunset, but Eleanor really seems to take a liking to Sybil and actually invites her to come live with them and do some work around the house. This episode is good on the first viewing, but much better on the second and third viewing, because they make lots of hints throughout the episode of what exactly is going on. First with Henry pricking his finger and Eleanor sucking his blood for a brief moment, and also these constant references Eleanor makes to the children. You see, Henry and Eleanor don't have any children right now, but they do reference how they did used to have children. They don't really name them, they don't really explain what they're talking about, and they do refer to in a creepy way, the children, as if there were several of them, and somehow they went away. Who knows what happened to these children? They drop hints all throughout the episode. After Sybil and Mark leave, Eleanor reminisces about, how Sybil reminds her of the children, and how much she wants to have children once again. Maybe Eleanor will get to have children all over again. Yay! They went to the Anderson house, and apparently there was not a raging party there, so Mark split and basically left Sybil by herself. And so Sybil comes back and asks them if she can maybe stay for a little bit, and Eleanor is so happy. She reminds her of the children, and Sybil actually asks a smart question like, do you have any children? Like, where are these children? What's going on? Do they still live with you? She goes, yes, they do still live with me. Some other reviews I've read said that this ending was predictable, but I don't think this is really a fair complaint. This episode really only has 4 characters. Now we're down to 3 characters. One of them is going to be the serial killer. It's either going to be Sybil, they're going to do a twist there, or actually this is a couple of cannibals. I'll give you a hint. It's a couple of cannibals. And Sybil does notice they have a big wooden spoon sitting atop their kitchen. We then get a cool scene where Eleanor shows her they have this gigantic jacuzzi right inside their house. This is an indoor jacuzzi in this kind of like wooden sauna place. It looks really cool, and Sybil really enjoys her time here. Let's be honest, who wouldn't want to have one of those things inside their house? Sybil is really enjoying her time, especially the time she spends in the hot tub. Henry, of course, is ornery as always and is complaining that the butcher that he bought regular meat from is doing a terrible job and it tastes terrible. And explains to Sybil that meat actually tastes a lot better when the animal that you kill is not in fear or stressed out, which actually is a true thing. I'm not a big game hunter. I've been hunting a few times, but I know some people that have done it, and I remember hearing this. that this is actually true. It actually does adversely affect the meat if their stress hormones are elevated. It's a scientific fact, and it's fun that they kind of throw that in here. It also makes complete sense of why when Sybil came to live with them, they didn't just hit her over the head and Hansel and Gretel her and throw her in an oven immediately. They're actually slow rolling this thing and making her feel very, very comfortable before they inevitably try to kill her. So it makes sense for the story. It's actually a true fact, and the way he says it is pretty menacing. But he's been complaining about this butcher the entire episode. Man, he needs some actually fresh meat from, we'll say, a young lady who is maybe relaxing in a hot tub. That's where you would get the best meat, according to him. After getting a nice drink of cherry wine from Henry, Sybil then goes back to the jacuzzi, and we get the most chilling scene that I think works out really well. She's just chilling, drinking this wine, and Eleanor comes in and just starts throwing vegetables into the tub and asking her if she wants some vegetables to nibble on. So just out of nowhere, she just starts throwing these vegetables in, and then Harry comes in with a big barrel of wine, and Sybil starts catching on. They might be trying to cook her in this hot tub. I mean, imagine if you're just hanging out in a jacuzzi, someone just starts throwing vegetables in there. Be like, hey, eat this. And then comes in with this huge wooden spoon. Be like, oh shit. We then get a reveal of the children. They actually end with a great line where Eleanor says, I love having the children for dinner. Get it? And it's 6 skulls of their other victims. Anniversary dinner is an easy 9 out of 10. It's my favorite episode so far. This one and Inside the Closet really stand out, but I think this one's actually better than Inside the Closet. It moves at a really fast pace. They actually cover a lot of ground in the 22 minutes, and it all makes sense and builds up perfectly. It really does feel like an actual 80s slasher movie playing on Hansel and Gretel. Obviously, comparison would be something like Motel Hell. Frederica Duke played the character Sybil. She has a pretty interesting IMDb. At first glance, it would seem she's kind of an unsuccessful actress. She only has 9 credits. She took a few decades off and recently came back for 2 low-budget movies, Sour Party and Trinket Box. She actually is able to do a lot of vanity projects because she's married to a very rich guy and grew up in Beverly Hills. Who can't forget the classic she directed, Dying for Control. 6 Degrees of Pussy, which I looked up, is actually a movie about cats. Yeah, it's not a porno. And of course, the classic, fuck 'em. So yeah, she comes from a pretty talented family. Her children are all in the business. Her husband, Michael Berry, was a writer for The Late Show with David Letterman. You know, I don't know, maybe 1,847 of them from 1994 to 2015. Oh, wow, this guy is loaded. And he also wrote the screenplay for Bad Boys too, which is awesome. Brother Alan was the senior vice president of Walt Disney TV. Money. And her daughter looks exactly like her and is actually in some pretty good movies. And her daughter, Augie Duke, looks exactly like her and likes playing a crazy girl. It was recently in 15 episodes of Mayans MC, which is the spin-off series of Sons of Anarchy. I actually didn't know it was still going, so good job. Next up, episode 14, Snip Snip, about a guy trying to win the lottery with a little bit of magic. Thanks for watching, and check out our playlist for Tales from the Darkside, Monsters, and Fear itself.